Good morning, everybody. Good morning from a beautiful day. Yes, I'm going to give the current weather report because when you're building, it's important, and you've got to plan your day and all accordingly. Knowing what the weather is important. And of course, most of what we show on here is building. So, any builder out there knows if you're building outdoors, weather is everything. Well, I was really happy with the lights out here last night on the bridge and how they look at nighttime. I had left the two pumps running so that I could get up this morning to a really low pump down river, because not only am I having to pump out this water, but I'm having to pump out this big hole next door over here. But unbeknown to me, Melinda turned them off. And I was planning on it running all night long. And we haven't really, lowered down water for our project this morning. But in her mind, she thought that the pumps, in her defense, she thought the pumps would get hot running that long. She didn't realize they're water cooled, that the case being submerged in the water and the water flowing up around the motor as it pumps out keeps them constantly cool. She didn't know that. I told her she needs to learn to just communicate with me, but her intentions were good. Her intentions were good. So it ain't gonna be quite the way it was. I thought it was gonna be anyway this morning, but we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. No choice. Aside of that, I'll tell you another good thing. I'm not recording on my normal camera at this moment, so if the quality's a little different or sounds different, I'm sorry for that. It's in there having a charge right now. So our solar system, it's been doing really great lately. So that's multi-factor. One thing is that the hard rains have been keeping the solar panels cleaned off. That's what you want. If you get a lot of dust build up, or like in our case, we have some birds flying over that's picking seeds off some kind of tree, and they're eating them anyway. It's dropping these little parts down our panels, and it's dropping these little stems. They're about 5 or 6 inches long down our panels, and we have to constantly clean them off, and a little bird poop too. So with all of the rains coming, it's constantly keeping them flushed off. So that's one benefit. The next benefit, in case some of you don't know, is solar don't like heat. So the hotter it is outdoors, it don't matter how bright and sunny it is, okay? No matter what a beautiful, clear, sunshine day it is. If it's super hot, the solar panels are less efficient. And there's even a difference between a mono and a poly panel, how efficient too. And it gives that efficiency rating right there on the sticker on the back of the panel. And it'll, show a temperature range and a plus or minuses on voltages and all. And with the temperatures down lower now too, that we're running more into the 80 to 88 degrees. We're not up, in the high 90s to over 100 degrees in Fahrenheit. Or let's say on up in the 40s, upper 30s, and then the 40s in Celsius. Well, they are in a higher efficiency range now. And sometimes even where the temperature's getting into the upper 70s. So now they're way more productive. Then the next thing is that, again, it's cooler weather, and some days it's extremely cloudy or it's raining, and we're dipping into the upper 70s or right around 80, and there's no direct sunshine, and because of that, we're not having to run the air conditioner. And Not running those ACs, but still running our fans and refrigerators, you know, internet, and, you know, all your household things you do everywhere. Versus how many panels we have up. We are filling the batteries up every day, and even running the AC in our bedroom at night. We're running 24 hours a day now without having to get power from the grid. That is really nice. Back during those hottest months, plus a lot of guests here, run additional air conditioners. We could carry it all during the day, but we couldn't carry that many air conditioners off this battery bank, that many air conditioners, refrigerators, everything, all the way through the night. We might get to 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and then we're back over to the grid until the next morning, till say like 7:30, 8 a.m. But right now, at the moment, we are running 24 hours a day. And another thing, when guests are here, I let the battery bank fill up, and I switch the mode on the inverter. So the batteries are not being used, they're being kept as a reserve. So it kind of makes us use the grid a little bit more, but I want to have the power there for backup for our guests if there's a brownout, if there's a power shortage, and if it's really cloudy outside and raining and we're not making a lot of solar. So on those inverters, you'll have basically 3 different modes. Just kind of walking around checking things while I'm talking to you guys. You'll have 3 different modes. You'll have USB, which means utility first, solar second, and the batteries as the last thing. Then you'll have SBU, which is solar, batteries, and utility being the last choice. Now that's what I run most of the time, SBU, solar, batteries, utility. And then you'll have SUB, which is solar, utility, and battery being the last. So when guests are here and they're down in these rooms and all, we switch the mode to SUB. So it's going to run on solar all it can, and then it's going to switch over and run off the grid if there's not enough electricity being produced through the solar panels directly. And then lastly, if there's no solar and there's no utility, well then it's going to switch over and use the batteries as the last choice. So SUB is what we do when guests are here. SUB, solar, utility, batteries. And that leaves the batteries working as just strictly a backup for us. Then if it's just us here, no guest, we keep it on SBU, solar, batteries, and utility being the last choice. So I just hope that kind of helps you out. And then another thing I do is that I hold a reserve on my batteries, okay? So each day I don't let the batteries deplete all the way down to their lowest setting that is rated on those batteries. So when you get lithium batteries, it's going to be a sticker of how low you can let those batteries go. Your cycle life, if you max charge them every time and max discharge them every time, your cycle life on the batteries is going to be less. Now that might be worth it because you bought them to use them, might as well use them. So if it's saving you money off the grid, a little bit how you might want to manage your property and what capacity is you're wanting your solar system to work. So it's not always set the same around here. We switch it around according to what the current need is. So that's the deal on that. Now, one other mode that we can have sometimes is on the grid charging. So let's say that it's been really cloudy, really rainy, it's not hardly been any sun, and you want to have a backup because you're going to have guests here and you want those batteries charged up. Now, at that point, I can go in on the grid charging, taking power from the grid and using the charger. It has a battery charger built in this hybrid inverter. and I can set it how many amps that I want it to charge the batteries from the grid. Do I just want it to trickle in and put 2 amps, which ain't gonna hardly do nothing? Do I want to give a little bit more? 10 amps is the next setting, and then it's in increments of 10 going on up to, I don't remember exactly, maybe 120 amps or something like that. It may go to 150, I have to look. And so you also want to watch out, because pulling in a bunch of power real fast on some power companies can trip you to do what they call a demand. Now right now here we haven't been having a demand. Isn't that bird pretty? I see him right up there. So sometimes what we'll do is late at night, if we have guests here and the batteries aren't completely full, I'll walk up there. It just takes me a second on the menu, go into settings, go to utility, and maybe I'll kick it up to 20 or 30 amps and let it charge up some. Say like if I'm editing a video or whatever, I'm sitting on the couch, Mel's already gone to bed or whatever, because I stay up and edit. So while I'm doing that, I may kick it on up to 20 or 30 amps and put a little charge back in the batteries, so that if there is a brownout during the night, once again, our guests have power and we have power and all is good. We're not relying just, totally on the solar panels to get charged in the batteries in those situations. So each day I make a call. I make a call on the current situation, whether we do or don't have guests, how proficiently we've been able to charge, and what the situation is. So just kind of give you a little rundown of our lives here. But on a normal time, with no guests or anything, like how it's been for past years till we start renting the room, we just kept it where it was solar first, battery second, utility was the last option. And if we knew a major storm was coming, like we see on the news that there's a tropical storm or a typhoon or something coming, we would then put it over into grid mode and use the grid all we could to make sure the batteries stay fully charged at their max capacity. So if a tree takes a power line out or transformer blows up or whatever happens, we know we had the capacity in those batteries plus whatever the panels can still make. Sometimes they can still make a few hundred or 1,000 watts during even the darkest of clouds, that we have power. And then what we do in the house is we go into a power down mode. So like, do we really need these lights on over here? Do we really need this going? Let's limit how much we watch that great big TV, because those big TVs pull a lot of power. And so we'll just go into a little power saving mode to make sure like our refrigerators stay on, our lights stay on, our internet stays on, things like that. So that'll give you another little aspect of how we kind of manage things. Now, if I had probably double or triple the battery bank that I do right now, I probably wouldn't have any of these worries at all. And so that'll probably be changing in the future. My nieces are back. They are back from their vacation. Yeah, and Cheche's been here with us. Yeah, oh, sweetheart. Yeah, what's on your head?
It's a medicine.
Got all my kiddos back here. Are you gonna go to school? Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this morning we are trying to block where the water's coming in from that big hole next door into our river, because we can't pump it out until we can get that water under control. And that hole could be drained out next door, but let's say if what they usually end up doing if it gets really bad, or is either it'll finally break through on its own and wash out a huge section of the beach. Once it starts moving, it'll really erode the beach, or they'll finally get out there and manually dig it out and let it drain during a low tide. But then you need to hurry and fill that hole back as soon as all that water dumps out. So when the high tide comes back in, it doesn't push salt water back into that. So, and the problem is if the government puts a drainage all the way out, they need to build it all the way out on into the waterways. And once again, it sends the salt water back up inside. It's just the level's just too low over there next door. It's just too low from years of typhoons, and this was that way over here also before, way on back up. And I guess what was it, Typhoon Yolanda did the most damage, didn't it? Yeah, it really, the beach used to be far out there. So what we're doing is we took some of these concrete pads and we dug into the sand, and we shook them and cut them down in the sand. And we are backfilling a real strong concrete mix with Sahara in it, waterproofing in it, down into that water. And if any of you don't know, concrete will set up underwater, but you don't want to stir it and mix it around and get a whole bunch of water mixed in with it. See, that's, hold on, just stop. That, I want to see that. That is mixed with too much water. It's no good. Take that back and add more cement and sand. Yeah, add more Portland in it, or it's not going to set. Yeah, just take it back and add more cement. Yeah, I thought when I seen that one there, you see it didn't clump like that one we did over there. Add a little bit more cement or we're not going to seal this. Yeah. Yeah, I know it is. But just add a little bit more cement. Make it really thick. Yeah, it'll have to be thick. Which they've never done any of this, like pouring underwater, until the other day. I showed them for the first time that they can set cement up under the water right over here. They didn't know. You know, these guys are still learning. And but like he poured a clump right there. Well, if you try to spread that out mainly by your hand or by a stick or anything, whatever, now you're going to introduce a lot of water into the creek. But as if you'll dump it out and it's sticking like a clump, it'll stay and the water won't penetrate in it, and it'll keep its consistency. But you need it pretty thick from the start. Once I can pour that, and we can use that to stop that water from flowing through that gabion cage that's our barrier across there, we won't be able to keep 100% of the water out, but we'll be able to keep it maybe to a level we can manage with the pumps and keep it pumped out as it comes in down into that sump area down at the other end. And then we'll be able to continue on with our work. So we took that block right there and we pressed all down in it, flattened it out. Then I got down in there and I took those concrete blocks and I shoved against them, and it all rose up, and I had Mock to grab sacks of sand and stack up even more against those concrete blocks. And it held them in place, so that should pretty much majorly slow down the water to the point that we can pump this out now. And which is still going to be a process, because every time it rains you're going to have to fight that. But this should give us at least a chance. So the pumps are off right now, so the pressure's equalized on both sides here and on the other side over there, because we don't want anything flowing either direction, because it'll start eating a little hole through the concrete somewhere. And as of right now, we can give that a couple of hours, and maybe by lunch we could start pumping this out. So right now we're going to go down to the other end, and we're going to start doing stonework.